The Yankees took a step back this weekend against the Cardinals, and we're more confused with this team than ever.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by downloading the free Ibotta app and using code MLB. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, what's going on?
Yeah, not a great weekend, was it? Wasn't a great weekend. Confusing team. We're going to talk about that here a little bit later on. Stacey, we have bold predictions and a preview of the maybe a big test against the Baltimore Orioles here coming up this week, starting tonight. Of course, it's Monday, so we have Minors Monday, some information. And, Stacey, we talk a lot about the top performers in the minors system. I kind of want to talk about a struggling performance a little bit. So kind of change up the pace a little bit. So we'll do that a little bit later on. But Stace, we had some bold predictions about this series against the St. Louis Cardinals, and I have a feeling that we aren't going to age ourselves very well here. Let's take a listen. Were we right about our bold predictions for the Cardinals series? Bold prediction time. Do you have one for me?
They're sweeping.
Whoa!
They were swept last year in St. Louis. They're going to sweep St. Louis this year.
I'm going to go back into my memory bank a little bit. Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Anthony Volpe hits 2 home runs. His first AAA home run, follows it up later in the game with another one. He hits 2 home runs, his first 2 AAA home runs in the same game. He's going to hit 2 home runs in a game this weekend.
Oh, that's bold.
You almost got the reverse.
I know. Thank you, rainout.
I think I win this week.
Yeah.
Volpe went 5 for 11, had a triple, brought in a run.
He did well. Yeah, no,
he
did
got closer than you did.
Yeah. Thank you, Sevy. Thank you so much.
I mean, they looked rough against St. Louis. I mean, there's no denying that they did not use the momentum from the Perfecto. They did not use the momentum from winning that series, winning the last 2.
Nope.
The rain never helps. He gave him a little bit of rest, but I mean, like, the pen was rested well enough already. They obviously had to have that pen game in game 2 on Saturday, but I mean, they just didn't play well.
No. Nope. Annoying. And it's funny. Saturday's second game was the first time that they won in St. Louis since like 2016 or 2017. And there was another weird stat where it was the first time since 2014 that something happened against the Cardinals with the Yankees. So I was just like, oh, interesting. They don't play well in St. Louis. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Cardinals have been a mess all season. Probably the biggest surprise of the year, right? I would say that the St. Louis Cardinals, I mean, yeah, you knew that pitching staff wasn't going to hold up that great, but I mean, you didn't predict this from St. Louis. No. Just like we didn't predict this weekend from St. Louis. Let's start with Sevy, Stacey. Of course, the rain out on Friday, but game 1 was Sevy. What went wrong there?
A lot went wrong. We felt like he took a good step forward in his previous start because he had been bad his previous 3 before that good start. And then he took about 18 steps back in this game on Saturday. Only 4 innings, 9 runs, 7 earned. So 2 weren't exactly his fault, but 9 hits, 3 walks, only 2 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. Now, the pitches on those home runs weren't terrible. He threw a slider to Goldschmidt. It was right at the bottom of the zone. It just didn't slide enough. You know how they say, like, sinkers that don't sink enough? It didn't slide enough. Goldschmidt got a hold of it. And the 4-seamer to Gorman was inside, like on the inside edge of the zone, and he connected. So they weren't terrible pitches. They weren't cookie pitches, but they just were able to hit them for home runs. And it's just disappointing because he only lasted 4. He gave up that many runs. The team was never in the game because of it. And it was just such a rough outing for him. And the worst is hearing him talk after the game because he just can't figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. And we kind of talked about this before. He had that better outing his last time out. We're talking about, I mean, he's not helping his own free agency cause at this point. I mean, if it continues, I said this earlier, if it continues to go on this train, then, I mean, he's headed for a minor league deal. Like it's, you can't, I mean, maybe someone gives him 1 year, but I mean, he's really not helping his own cause. And it don't seem like the Yankees would have any interest in bringing him back if this continues at this pace. I'm glad I was not working that game. Love a 2-hour rain delay with a 10-run ball game, but hey, that's how she goes sometimes. The second game, obviously, Volpe had a nice game. The Yankees offense kind of woke up a little bit there.
Yes. It was 3-2 there for a while, and they had like 3 or 4 innings where they just couldn't get more than 3. And I was worried that maybe I was like, could you guys get more runs? And they finally did was at the top of the 8th, and they scored 3 more and made me feel a little better about that. Bullpen game, basically everyone pitched.
Yeah.
I mean, Hamilton, Marnacchio, King got the win. He pitched a couple of innings. Peralta, Tommy Kahnle still has not given up a run since he came back. Clay Holmes closed it out. He looked good. I felt like maybe Boone didn't have to go to everyone in that game, but he did. And, it was, at least it salvaged the doubleheader. And it didn't take the bad taste out of everyone's mouth from the first game because it was long. It was a blowout. The rain delay was ridiculous. Can I just say that? Because it was the 7th inning. They're up 11-1. Why not I don't understand why they had to sit through a 139-minute delay. It was ridiculous. And I will say this one thing. Josh Donaldson looked pretty good in the inning that he pitched.
Got a future there. Look, I mean, yeah, the Yankees score 6 runs in that game, and they end up losing on Sunday. Of course, Jordan Montgomery, I want to get to that in a second. But can we just talk about this offense, Stacey? Like, look, we know that without Aaron Judge, it's not a good offense. Like, it just, for whatever reason you want to cook up under the sun, it's just how it is. It's just how it is. But, I mean, I think that's maybe the most confusing part is this team at times, you're just like, man, look how good they hit. And then there are way more times you're going, man, what is going on up there? Like, I can't think of a team that's just so, I don't even want to say hot and cold, but just so Jekyll and Hyde sometimes.
Yeah. And it was funny too, because when the lineup came out, some people were actually complaining that Josh Donaldson wasn't in the lineup, which I found so interesting.
People always find something to complain about.
But considering what happened last week at this time when they were thinking, and some of these people were hoping he was going to be DFA'd, those same people were like, well, why isn't Josh Donaldson in the lineup? So it was just,
Yankee fans did a whole episode on that.
Yankee fans are confounding and confusing, just as confusing and confounding as the offense.
That's completely fair. Stace the Sunday loss. Jordan Montgomery, man. I mean, look, he's had a good year. He hasn't had like this incredible, I mean, he's been the limelight of that rotation in St. Louis, which, let's be fair, doesn't have much light to begin with. No. It's been real rough in St. Louis this year. But I mean, boy, what a way to stick it to the man, right? Like that's what you do, man. That's what JP Sears wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah. Jordan Montgomery did what JP Sears wanted to do those 2 times against the Yankees and just couldn't do. As for Gerrit Cole, I mean, 2 runs, you can't give up. You can't give up 2 runs because the offense isn't going to do anything. And they didn't score that last run until later in the game, and it wouldn't have mattered. But he made the All-Star team, found out after the game. So we figured that was going to happen. And it looks like it might actually line up where he could actually pitch. And he said he wants to, but he understands that Ohtani's doing better than him and Eovaldi's doing better than him. So he understands that those guys will probably start, but he voiced he wanted to go into the game. He said he wanted to pitch. So we might not have a year where we don't see a Yankee play in the All-Star game.
Yeah, we did a segment on that last week. Of course,
Mhm.
Gerrit Cole would be the second time, if he does pitch this year, second time in 6 selections in which he would actually pitch in the All-Star game. So congratulations. We knew Gerrit Cole was in. Obviously, Aaron Judge is in, will not be playing. But that's the only 2 Yankee selections. If Rizzo hadn't ran into Tatis at first, he very much could have been the starting first baseman. Hey, Aaron Boone got ejected again. Let's skip past that because, of course. But Stacey, again, this team is just so confusing to me. I mean, do you have any other final thoughts to take away from this series at Busch?
They should have won. They should have won 2 out of 3, and it's annoying that they didn't, because my second job is writing about other baseball teams, and I've written about the Cardinals a bunch of times, and they're awful this year. And that's why I predicted a sweep, because I figured, okay, I didn't think the Yankees were going to blow them out in every single game, but I figured the Yankees could find a way to win. And no, they didn't. So what are you going to do?
Look, it wasn't good, obviously. It obviously wasn't a good weekend, but I'm going to take the high road here, Stace, and I'm going to glass half full it, because that's what we try to do here on this show. And I'm going to say, look, until Judge comes back, the closest you can play to 500, the better.
Yeah.
All you're looking for, as we've been saying, is 3 games over 5 by the deadline. That is the smallest goalpost you can try to hit. If they can hit those goalposts, they have a chance. That's the math of it. It's just the math of it. That's the minimum. You obviously want to be higher, which they still are. You ended up going splitting even on this road trip. I think you can take that. Yes, you would like to beat up on lower level competition. You didn't. At least you didn't lose the road trip.
True.
Remember that. So take that. Hey, thanks for stopping by and checking us out, especially if you're the first time. Of course, you can drop your questions for Fan Mail Friday. Every Friday, we drop an episode answering all your questions that you send us. Of course, if you want to skip that line, as well as get a bunch of other perks, you can join our subtext group. That's where you get text messages from Stacey and myself. You can have one-on-one text conversations with us, ask questions anytime. And of course, some of those questions end up on Fan Mail Friday for all of us to enjoy. You also get roster moves from us. You get a bunch of other really cool perks. Just check out the episode description. It has all the information. Coming up next, it's Monday, so let's check in on the Yankees minor league system.
Picking up burgers and hot dogs for a summer barbecue, you know you're already doing it, so why not get cash back for it with Ibotta? Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Either link your royalty account or load up your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. Or you can use your cash back to buy that flight you've been eyeing, the game you've been dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. You can earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta using the code MLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and use the free Ibotta app and use code MLB.
Back here on Locked On Yankees. Hey, to the everydayers out there, don't forget, coming up on Tuesday, you know we have an episode. We're going to talk about some all-star snubs. We just mentioned in the last segment, Gerrit Cole and Aaron Judge, obviously all-star selections. But were there some snubs? Of course, there's always snubs every year. That's how the all-star game works. There were snubs all over the place. Were there any with the Yankees? We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. Of course, the Yankees start a series tonight with the Baltimore Orioles. You can catch that and the entire season on SiriusXM. All you got to do is download the SiriusXM app and get a free trial. Hey, Stacey, it's Miners Monday, one of our favorite days of the week, as we always say. There is a performer right now in the Yankee system over the last 2 years that has just, I don't want to say come out of nowhere. We've also talked about him a little bit, and I've been keeping my eye on this guy for a while now. Again, these last 2 seasons. Tyler Hardman. This name just, he finds a way to keep coming back into this news cycle, right? Somerset Patriots this week, and full disclosure, Yankees had a kind of a tougher week in the system this week, but Tyler Hardman, not one of those problems. Against the Bowie Bay Sox this week, He hit 3 bombs on Saturday. He hit 5 in the series, including a 2 home run game in that series as well. He leads the Eastern League with 19 and has 11 homers in his last 23 games. You got to remember, this is a guy that is unranked. This is a guy that has just been getting opportunities. He led all Yankees home run leaders last season in the system. Of course, not Judge, minor system. But it's really impressive what he's been able to do. This is a guy that just hits bomb after bomb after bomb. I mean, it's easy. It looks easy the way he swings. And he's this guy that I kind of wanted to bring up again because we got asked a Fan Mail Friday question last week, Stacy. Asked, who's going to start in center field in 2026? And the options were Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez. I said Jones. You said, I don't know. But I think Tyler Hardman is starting to creep his way into a conversation about, hey, this might be a guy. He's still not hitting for average. I mean, that's to be expected maybe about a guy like this who just has this kind of shocking power potential. But it's really impressive what he's been able to do this season. And obviously that he's been able to carry it from last season into this season. But not only that, but by jumping up a level, because he only played 4 games during the playoff run last season with Somerset. So he's pretty much brand new to Double-A baseball. It took him some adjustment period, but it has really blossomed since the beginning of June. Again, last 23 games, 11 home runs. Look, it's not Shohei's, 16 and 22 or whatever he's at, but he hits them in bunches, and it's really impressive. And I just love watching this guy play, and I just love talking about this guy. He's really, really intriguing. A guy that was in Somerset earlier this year, now in Scranton Wilkes-Barre, I also wanted to talk about today, Stacy. And look, the Minors Monday segment, we usually talk about the top performers, right? And I want to talk about Will Warren. Look, he was amazing with Somerset this season. Like he was just out of his mind with Somerset. He got the call to AAA. He got called up. He made a nice little start to begin his AAA career. I believe it was against Charlotte on the road. Since then, it's been a little rocky, and he's had some issues. This past Thursday, however, he had a nice little outing that he can kind of build off of, which is weirdly enough the first Rail Rider shutout victory of the year. 5 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts against the Syracuse Mets on the road at NBT Bank Stadium. His last 2 outings, look, it's not like blow your socks off, but looking decent, looking better. 9 innings, an earned run, 4 total runs, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. So he's having issues putting away hitters, and he's having issues with 2 strikes. He's having issues with his pacing and stuff like that. And again, I kind of wanted to change up the pace a little bit, Stace, to talk about guys who are not struggling, but trying to figure it out and trying to use this as a reminder to like, hey, we talk about the top guys, but there's guys that there's ebbs and flows, man. Like you get called up, there's some guys take to it right away, and a lot of them don't. And I found this soundbite that I felt was pretty important, especially in the context of Will Warren, a guy that I'm very excited about, and I'm excited to see how his career continues to progress. This is coming from something I linked in the episode description. This is something that comes out every week that the Yankees minor league system puts out, just in case you ever want to check it out. But this is Sam Breen, the director of pitching for the Yankees, talking about Will Warren. Take a listen.
Promoted Will, he had been out stuffing hitters in Double-A. He'd been phenomenal. But probably where some of the misses were, especially getting him into 2-strike counts, he would get his punch outs, he would get the tickets, but it would take him a couple pitches to get there, and he would nibble around trying to find that sweet spot. And we thought he needed the challenge of a little bit more disciplined hitters. You saw in his first couple outings, he had some walks. He walked, I think, 2-3 guys in the first inning yesterday. And then, boom, he actually made the adjustment. He slowed himself down. He executed the pitches, didn't walk anybody the rest of the game, and had a phenomenal outing. Ended up shutting out the Mets last night. So it was really exciting to see, and I think Yankee fans are going to see more of that as he starts to mature here against a little better competition.
So I thought that was really interesting that they called up Warren for that specific reason, right? They're like, we wanted to, obviously, you call guys up when you think they're ready, but specifically, like, we want him to face better hitters and more disciplined hitters, because we're seeing that his stuff is playing well against double hitters, but we want to see him. Let's be real. Once you get to AAA, it's like, this is grown baseball, man. This is grown men playing ball now. I mean, you got fathers, multiple times over got fathers playing now. So I like that attitude, and I like that idea from Sam Breen, and just that he's forthcoming about that. And it's interesting to see. let's put you in this situation. Can you adjust? Can you make that adjustment? We're going to tell you need to, but can you make that adjustment? It is really impressive to see that Will Warren is making that adjustment. 7 outings now with the Rail Riders, and we'll see if that trend continues, if he continues to be able to put away hitters, but the walks are still an issue. So we'll see if that continues, especially against those more disciplined hitters. And Stacey, one last thing here on this Minors Monday, just while we're on the topic of Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Oswald Peraza did return this week, which is a good sign. We ended up finding out it was an abdominal issue that held him out for 9 days. We knew it was a muscular problem. Ended up finding out it was an abdominal issue, which held him out of play for, again, 9 days, a couple of games. Started out slow. His first 2 games ended up going 0 for 9, but he had a nice little Saturday, went 2 for 5 with a single and a homer, his 12th of the year, brought in a pair, and also scored twice. Remember, his month there in June was pretty slow overall. Then he ended up, I wonder if it has to do with that abdominal issue that probably started building for him. I had to imagine that sidelined him for that time anyway. So it is good to see him swinging a little nicer here on Saturday. Hopefully that is fully subsided as the Yankees continue to see what they can either do with him or get for him. Yeah, so we'll see how that progresses, but it is good to see Oswald back on the field, and by all accounts feeling healthy, so that's good. Always a thumbs up from me. But hey, this was our Minors Monday segment. We do this on every Monday. Locked On Yankees. We talk about the top performers, and of course, like today, a little different, talking about some guys who are struggling and how they're working through those struggles and what those struggles are stemming from. So thanks for checking this out. Coming up next, of course, we got a series preview for the Baltimore series, and of course, some bold predictions. Back here now on Locked On Yankees, our final segment for this Monday show. Stacey, Orioles series. Of course, you can hear it tonight on Sirius XM. Pitching matchups. Domingo Germán back on the mound for the first time since the Perfecto, facing off with Tyler Wells. What are you expecting out of perfect game Domingo Germán?
He's giving up a hit in his first at bat.
Ah, no. Come on.
It's not going to be bad. It's just going to be a single, but you know how that happens. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Obviously not expecting perfection, but I would like for him to build on that, kind of go more in the direction that he was heading before he had those horrible 2 starts, and, give the Yankees some innings, and I'd be happy with that.
A lot of it stems to that curveball, right? Like that's why that outing was so good.
Yeah.
Was that curveball, and his sinker was looking good. His changeup was looking good. They were all looking good, but that curveball in particular, right? That was his go-to, especially when he was behind in the count. That's really telling about how a pitcher feels about his stuff. So if he can get to that curveball again tonight and have it even 90% of what it was the other night, I mean, there's not much more you can ask out of whatever number star he is. I have no idea. It's like you have Gerrit Cole as your ace, and then everybody else is a 3 or a 4. That's what it feels like at this point. Kyle Gibson, Clark Schmidt in game 2. Clark, I wouldn't say he took a massive step back, but wasn't as good as he had been in his previous 6.
Yeah. He had a rough start there. He got better as the outing went on. I'm a little worried about how he's going to do against Baltimore. Baltimore's a tough team. They're hanging in there behind the Rays. They're not falling too far behind them. And it'll be interesting to see if he can maybe make it into the 6th again. Maybe.
You love that number.
I do. That's all I want from him. I would like for a 5 and 2 2/3 in there. That'd be great.
Wednesday game, no announced starter for the Yankees. It's not going to be Carlos Rodon. Apparently they pushed him back a few days. He was supposed to pitch on the 5th, but of course he is actually going to start on the 8th against the Cubs. So we're going to give him a couple extra days rest. He did pitch for Hudson Valley this past weekend. He's going to face Dean Kremer. Stace, I anticipate Randy Vasquez if the Yankees want to call someone up. Of course, they could elect to go to another bullpen game. Obviously, that depends on how Germán and Schmidt perform. But I believe it would more than likely be Nick Ramirez taking the option. If they wanted to call Vasquez up, they could not call Brito.
Yeah, I kind of hope they don't do a bullpen game just because of, like you said, it depends on Germán and Schmidt. And then also you have Severino bringing up the rear. And I kind of don't want the bullpen wasted with Luis Severino pitching that final game in the series.
Yeah. So I would anticipate Vasquez if I'm a betting man, which I am not. Stacey, Thursday, final game. That's light years away. This series will have ebbs and flows throughout it. It's a big test for the Yankees to see can they hold up against the top in the AL East, some of the top in the AL East, especially without the big heavy hitter, quite literally. Bradish on Thursday against Heavy. Bradish looked good last time, Kyle Bradish. Or Bradish. Yes. I really don't know what it is anymore. We said Bradish all last year. I really don't know.
I know. People change the pronunciation of their names on a whim sometimes. They feel like, oh, all right, I'm going to be Bradish this year, and then maybe next year I'll be back to Bradish. And also, are there a lot of Kyles in baseball? It feels like they have 2 Kyles in their starting rotation, and it feels like that Tyler, Kyle, and what's the third name I was thinking of earlier? They're all over baseball. It's amazing.
Kyle is a pretty popular millennial name, I believe.
Yeah.
Considering I went to school with a lot of Kyles, and the millennials are in baseball right now, so. I think the Kyle is here to stay. Did I ever tell you the O'Neill Cruz thing?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if you said it on the show, though.
I don't know if I said it on the show. So he's very Bradish in this regard. O'Neill Cruz, I was working in the Pirates system at the time when he got traded from the Dodgers over to the Pirates. Yes, O'Neill Cruz got traded from the Dodgers to the Pirates. But so, yeah, he was O'Neill Cruz. That's what they told us to say, and O'Neill Cruz. And then now he's O'Neill Cruz. So I think he changed it, quote unquote, or whatever, corrected it, whatever, the next season. So that was 2017 that happened when that trade. And then the next year in the minors, he was still in A ball, and he was O'Neill Cruz. I was like, whatever, bro. Bold predictions before we get out of here today. Do you have any bold predictions for this Orioles series? Are you going to go sweep route again?
No, I'm not that dumb. No. I'll say the Yankees. Yankees are going to split. They're going to split.
No. I'm vetoing that. Vetoing that. That's not bold at all.
Yes, it is. They're without Judge, and they can't hit 2 out of 4 against a team that's much better than them. That's like a big deal.
Weak. Comment down below if you think that's a weak, bold prediction. I'll tell you what a bold prediction is. Calling for an Anthony Volpe 2-home run game. I'm not doing that again. Bold this time. It will be Randy Vasquez on Wednesday, and Randy Vasquez will have the best start out of any Yankee starter in this series.
That is bold. Yeah.
That's what we do this for.
I'm afraid to go too bold. All right.
Getting you to change it. Look at that, folks.
Severino goes 6 and only gives up 2 runs. Come on. After the way he pitched the last time and the way he's pitched.
Bold. Stacey, bold is shut out. Come on.
Oh, all right. Fine. 6 innings, no runs.
There you go. That's prediction. Drop predictions down below here in YouTube comments. I love it, Stacey. I got you from split to 6 shutout from Chevy. That's what we do here on Locked On Yankees. While you're in the comment section giving us your bold predictions, drop your questions for Fan Mail Friday. Of course, if you want to skip the line for Fan Mail Friday, all you got to do is join our subtext. All the more info is in the episode description, the details, all that stuff. You guys can click it, as well as more of those sound bites. Remember, I linked down below for Miners Monday as well. Coming up on tomorrow's show, guys, All-Star snubs. We got to talk about it. The rosters are set. There's obviously going to be some fill-in guys, but I feel like the Yankees have some snubs out of the pen. We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Bold predictions. Stacey nailed it. And that's going to do it for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gatsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.